Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, guys. Welcome for the last day of this important training, OSHA 30 hours, general industry. So today we are going to discuss a few of more important topics, and I would say the subpart of 1910 CFR. So let's talk about the general environment first of all, because every company, of course, need to ensure some of the better environment within their workplace, and this all places of employment shall be kept clean. That's what OSHA is recommending to us, because sanitation is critical. It's not like only for the dust cleanness. The sanitation means neat and clean. uh, it belongs to everything. I mean, it's not like only for the visible areas, even hidden or all invisible areas, even within the industry, within your workplace, must be neat and clean properly. And yes, set an order. And here I would like to mention, few of the Japanese housekeeping tools like 5S is there. You can make sure the proper sortation, standardizations, in other words, the shine, even I would say the safety, So all these tools you can use for ensuring your better shop floor management. Because why sanitation is important, the OSHA says the floor of every workroom shall be maintained so far as practicable in a dry condition. Because slips and fall, especially the fall, is still the number one cause of fatalities globally. So whenever there is a wet floor, more chances of slippage is there. We all know, because it's a common sense, right? So that is why it is important, whenever we uh, clean or wash out any area, make sure it is properly dried later on. Otherwise, it must be isolated. So on the other side, welcome, Mr. Said. Warmly welcome.
Hello, hi.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Where is the guys?
Yeah, still waiting. Maybe we can. Now, if you just go into the OSHA and see, some of the standards there, like law and regulations. We have standard interpretation, we have training requirements by standard, we have certain topics like employer health, workers high rights, so fall protection, heat, personal protective equipment. So topics are there which we are studying already. So if we click,
Yeah.
like, let's take an example of fall prevention. So OSHA will give us, plenty of information related to fall prevention campaigns. So what I mean is, we always need to be attached with this particular website, because they'll
Yeah.
be keeping us updated and sharing
It, it,
plenty
it,
of.
it is like the Quran for the worker.
Sorry.
It is like Quran, but for work.
Absolutely.
You get back to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we can get reference, whenever, wherever we have any confusion, we just go back. Oh, what are the standards related to H2S or confined space, or how are we gonna manage, scaffolding, what are the hazards and controls, or how are we gonna erect a better safe scaffolding. So we go back and see what OSHA is guiding us. So that is why this website, always we need to link up. And let me just find out that there are plenty of videos actually, which OSHA provide us, and these are practically sound videos. So we can keep
Okay,
our knowledge updated.
yes, that's great. We should do. We have a group already.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll share. Let me share this link even within the group. No worries.
Okay then.
Yeah. And most importantly, whenever you get time, even through your mobile, laptop, whenever you have some spare time, just make sure you just go through this website and see, what any new standard is there, any amendments are there, what OSHA have some, some quick takes newsletters are there. Even if you want to work with OSHA, especially in USA, even the career opportunities they could give, So plenty of other topics we can study, like I mentioned earlier. Even help and resources centers are there. Like we have annual inspection data, we have compliance assistance specialists, we have consultation services. There are plenty of like how we file a complaint, like if our employer is not like they are not providing
Yeah.
PP suppose, so we can file a complaint even. But most importantly, this website and this OSHA is more beneficial, especially for the USA citizens, because it's a legal department of USA, like Occupational Health and Safety Administration, of USA. So more like it's very much helpful for the USA citizens. But on the other side, of course, we the people also can get plenty of technical information related to safety and health and environment. We start implementing within our companies. It's very much helpful. And if you see and help and resources, if you go directly to the videos actually, which I'm going to open. And what is the good idea, Mr. Saeed? You will get plenty of videos here, And whenever you get time, just open, like let's take an example of putting on and take off a mask. Some of the new videos they uploaded.
Okay.
Let's take another example, maybe, just how to wash our hands, what are the best practices. Then high risk job,
Yes.
next protection to the key workers safe. So plenty of new videos they are keeping uploading just for our awareness. And if we go topic wise, like carbon monoxide, how it could be terrible, we can just click and watch this video in English. Let me just show if and if you watch these videos, these are true incident, and they just created a better information for us to make sure we know how we're going to control if there is any hazard or risk related to carbon monoxide. So whenever you get time, just please keep watching these videos, and this will give you a practical idea, scenario based. Oh, this was happened, that was the incident, and these are the lesson learned, and that is what corrective preventive actions are well taken by, to the by the company actually, relevant company, I would say. But OSHA is very knowledgeable department, especially for USA market, because different people are complaining them, and all incidents are being reported legally to OSHA even. So then they start taking certain actions to keep things on a right track, just to ensure better safety. So I'm sure it will also help, inshallah. You're just giving you an idea. And on the other side, as I told you, we can find out the reference of anything. Like if we need a reference about heavy equipments, we can easily get what OSHA code of conduct, or sorry, this CFR code relevant to this heavy equipments. And if a particular we need to see like what is the code relevant to crane even, or forklift, or bulldozer or something like that. So still OSHA will be helping us. Like how we need to ensure safety, or what precautions we need to implement. So I hope it will help. Okay, so just let me repeat again. Whenever you go to OSHA.gov, there are V tools, and you will find plenty of videos. I'm sure you can see at the screen. It's all starting from alphabetically. Like if you want to learn something about carbon monoxide, and because what OSHA is trying to do is there are genuine incidents, happen somewhere within the industry. So what they do is they prepare some animation videos, and just what kind of lesson they have learned so far from this incident, and what was the real root causes, the complete root cause analysis, and what went wrong, and then accordingly what was the best controls, to avoid the repetition or kind of reoccurrence of the same incident, especially related to carbon monoxide. In the same way, If you want to see like confined space, a few videos are there. You can just look at here, you just need to click and start watching, because we don't remember sometimes the words or the, so it's much better to see some videos actually. So what is the best way to learn things? Learn by the mistakes of others. If you are not a better learner from your own mistakes, so then see what mistakes were done by others and you just simply avoid them. And this is how you can ensure your safety, and even for the safety of your colleagues and your team members working nearby or around you. So this is how we work together and as a teamwork. So we try our level best to be safe. And OSHA is always there to help us to understand what can go wrong, in confined space or anything. If you're working in a construction industry, you can watch some construction industry videos. Even there are plenty of videos available on YouTube even, it's not like always you have to get a reference with OSHA. Wherever you can watch maybe more than 200 videos related to like last 100 years, just find out whatever complications you are facing professionally, as a safety professional. So just what I mean is go into the relevant area rather than having a distracted mind and just wandering here and there. So have a sophisticated, well lined, well planned learning track for you, and then see how things would be more comfortable for you, inshallah. So let me just go back to the presentation and okay, so that is about OSHA.gov, and just remember we can find reference of anything like which code relevant to, like if you want to see which OSHA regulations is relevant to ladders, you can find it out. Which is relevant to cranes or forklift or heavy equipments or confined space or H2S or any element. You just take, go back and see the reference on OSHA website or even search through Google, and then find out what OSHA is guiding you to resolve this issue or to meet this challenge. Now, since it's we are going to talk about some more subparts which already we started even, but remember, housekeeping of everything is very much important, and there shouldn't be any floor damage. And this is a requirement of subpart J, like general environment. No cracks, all the boards or unnecessary holes or openings are not acceptable. So make sure you have proper leak proof, waste bins. And of course, you need to make sure the potable water shall be provided. This is the major responsibility of, the employer. Sometime at the remote sites, maybe you have drinking water, but it's already contaminated. And if it is already contaminated and someone is drinking the same water, of course, he'll be in trouble. So because water is the biggest root cause of sickness, like globally even. That is why we have hepatitis A, B, C, and plenty of other bloodborne pathogens, creating such kind of viruses through, and even bacterial infection through water is penetrating. So make sure there must be a clear indicators, or this water is for drinking, this is prohibited for drinking, or is not for drinking. So we need to don't assume that your employees are fully aware for everything. You need to guide them properly. So then of course they'll be following your instructions, and this is how you can use the signage as well. Mark all the outlets as is potable water, yes or no, or if it is not potable, of course, this mark will be helping and indicating to all others. Remember, guys, because since we are talking about general environment, so for 1 to 15 employees, minimum one toilet as per OSHA, and then 16 to 35, two toilets, and 36 to 55, three toilets, and same way, more employees mean more number of toilets you need. But remember, 150 plus means one additional per 40 employees. This is the criteria what given by OSHA, which we truly need to follow. Even though they don't bound us, it's more like for USA companies, but still every country almost have some American customers and brands operating within the country, like in Saudi Arabia. We have Saudi Aramco following OSHA standards because American brands are there actually. So we need to follow accordingly. Now, there must be some washing facilities, sanitary condition, hot and cold water, drinking water or running water, hand soap, hand towels, and make sure we have one shower, for each 10 employees of male or female, right, for each sex. Now, if we talk about the, like I told you, because I intentionally removed some code references, but this one is just left because I want you to search which reference is relevant to general or which reference is relevant to sanitation. Like 1910.141 is all about changing room and make sure it is available for the employees. And change room must be equipped with storage facilities for street cloths, and separate storage for protective clothing shall be provided. These are very common things, and generically, I know you guys understand, but still, uh, it's part of OSHA training. So I need to mention clearly what requirements we all need to follow. Now, sanitation, make sure the consumption of food and beverage on the premises. No food or beverages can be consumed in a toilet room, nor in any exposed area to the toxic material, because there are plenty of germs and bacteria which can be, which would be a reason to contaminate the food, or, and creating some terrible issues, maybe the food poisoning. Okay, guys, another important element is carry out, the sound hygienic principle, wash your hands before you eat. Uh, Let me share one of the incident, because within that company, the employees were getting sick frequently. And unfortunately, there was no food safety inspector. Only they were relying on the catering company. I don't want to disclose the name, but because of this food poisoning and employees were getting sick frequently, so they understood the absenteeism, the graph, and that was going up and up. And then they interrogated, and the terrible root cause was the food was contaminated. And further, they interrogated and found, because the food mostly, the raw material was being purchased, the raw food was being purchased, especially at the last date of expiry, of these items. And because the catering company, they were trying to save 50%, because when you buy, suppose, potatoes and the expiry date is today, and you're buying today, they will offer you, oh, today's offer 50% discount per kg. So you will immediately buy, cook, and deliver. And you believe nobody can catch you, but Allah is there, right? So He will definitely catch if you are dishonest or you're not doing your job honestly. Of course, things will go against you anytime. Now, there are plenty of other general environmental like specifications, like accident prevention signage and tags we can use. For danger, we can use the below, like see, uh, this danger, like high voltage danger, wear goggles and rubber gloves wherever it is required. For cautions, we can use this type of like authorized person only, tripping hazard. I know you guys are quite familiar about all these things, but still, it's a recall, refresh. And if it is eye wash, make sure you use this kind of safety instructions through posters or signage. And safety first, climb ladder slowly and use both hands. Instead of words, pictures are more better, but still it's part of OSHA training. So whatever they are suggesting us, we can see either we must implement all these things or we have a better idea. So danger, red and black and white is all we can use. Background should be yellow for caution, and black panel and even yellow letters. For safety instructions, like sign color for background white, green panel and white letters we can use. And for biological hazard, this sign would be better, like orange or orange red. And if you want to show some danger, like major hazard situation, like immediate hazard possess serious injury or death, you can use this one. And you can put like do not operate, do not operate. For caution, again, we can use this one. For warnings, different, like hazard level between danger and caution, we can use below tags. For biological hazards, identify actual or potential presence of a biological hazards, we can use these tags, especially in a hospital for waste collection and disposal, and plenty of or even any like you are having a waste food relevant to, or you have a medical waste. So this waste bin even should have this kind of signage, so people can understand there is a biological hazard, potential biological hazard possibility is there. Then permit to work is a part of, like nobody can get enter without a permit in a confined space. Okay, and make sure you have proper evaluation of the workplace, especially to identify different kind of hazards or risk. And there must be a written plan, like employees to enter confined space. It's not like anybody can get enter. There must be a standby man. He must have a CSC log sheet. Whoever is getting inside must be part of that project, and he must be authorized, and to make sure he's qualified, certified, well trained, and also signing his CSC log sheet, like what is his name, his ID, why is going inside, time, date, time in, time out, and what the job is going to perform exactly. And for confined space, of course, this gas testing is mandatory by authorized gas tester. And purpose required confined space, prevent unauthorized entry, identify and evaluate hazards of space, develop safe entry procedure like practice, provide equipment. These all steps relevant to confined space are mandatory. And most importantly, minimum 4 below elements must be tested, like H2S, oxygen level, and carbon monoxide and LEL, like lower explosive limit. And this slide I just derived from this Aramco theories, because it's more easy to understand. Whenever there is combustible gases vapors, like first of all, remember no hot work is allowed above 0% LEL, and we need to use breathing apparatus like SCABA, or even SABA, like supplied air breathing apparatus or self-contained breathing apparatus, whenever there is 5 to 10% LEL. For 10% LEL or above, no work or confined space entry allowed, as per especially Saudi Aramco. And then hydrogen sulfide H2S is 10 ppm and above, we need a breathing apparatus. And if it is 10 ppm to 100 ppm, we need VN-head approval to sign the permit. And 100 ppm and above, no work, no entry allowed. Same way for oxygen level, less than 20% breathing apparatus must be used, and VN-head must sign the permit. And above then, like 23.5%, no work allowed. So what is the normal range? 20 to 23.5%. But as per OSHA, 19.5% to 23.5%. Now, same way for carbon monoxide, below 35 ppm, for 8 hours, no need to use SCABA. But still, if you use SABA or some respirator, so it's much better for your safety. But 35 ppm to 1000 ppm, no, ppm stands for parts per million. So we measure gases, it's a unit of gases, like ppm, parts per million. So breathing apparatus must be used whenever there is a range of 35 to 1000 ppm. And 1000 ppm or above, no confined space entry allowed. Now, communication in confined space, we could have face-to-face, like verbal, hand signals. There must be a rope system, like in Saudi Aramco, they have both methods. One tag means okay, can be to ask if okay to answer, or 2 tags mean advance, give me rope, 3 tags mean take up rope, I'm coming back, or 4 tags mean help. So we can see some H2S video whenever you get time. I gave you this OSHA website reference as well. You can go and see in alphabet H, there must be some videos relevant to H2S. Now, Still, we are talking about general environment. So there are plenty of hazardous, we need control again hazardous energy like lockout, tag out, or procedures or training periodic inspections are important. And why we need lockout, tag out, or isolation? Because there are plenty of certain energies which we really need to isolate or lock before we start a project, especially in confined spaces. So what kind of energies can be there? It can be like any toxic gases, it can be any hydraulic or pneumatic energy or spring loaded or some kind of, so any energy, even electrical or mechanical. So any energy which can create or could be harmful for our employees, we need to lock out and tag out before we start a project. Even let me give an example of our training room. If we want to change some lights, so instead of working directly, it's much better to turn off the breaker and put a lock and tag to the panel so nobody have a chance to turn on, while the lights will be changing by the electrician, right? So make sure you have proper energy control procedures, and there must be training and periodic inspections to see either the same procedure is fully implemented and being followed or yes or no. You can see some Lotto videos again on OSHA in alphabet is there. So easily you can find some videos related to lockout tagout, and just start watching and see how practically you can be sound after watching these videos. Now we have a subpart K that is all about medical first aid. And even though it's not first aid training, but still part of OSHA 30 hours general industry. So we need to discuss, why this medical first aid is important. So what OSHA says, the employer shall ensure availability of medical personnel for advice and consultation. It's mandatory as per OSHA requirements. And this part also mention, the in absence of nearby medical facility, a person or person shall be adequately trained to render first aid. So we need a team of first aiders. But of course, the third party trained or fully certified and qualified and practically sound people we require. And most importantly, the first aid should contain some supplies inside, because on the safety auditor as well. So sometime while auditing, whenever I see first aid, nothing is inside. And sometimes the first aid is not in a visible area, so nobody can find where is the first aid. And sometimes it is locked actually. And in case of emergency, now you need to find the person who have the key actually. And during that one, if there is bleeding going on, so of course, things would be terrible, if immediate first aid response is not given to the injured person, especially. Yes, it's a part of first aid. Make sure you have eye washer as per OSHA requirement. So immediately the person can wash their eyes. Yes, we need fire protection like subpart L. It's all about, we need to understand what is fire. It's a triangle. Uh, it's a combination of three words like oxygen, heat, and fuel. And of course, we need a chemical reaction, so fire will be there. But more importantly, remember we can remove any of the element and see how the fire will be break out. Let me might be give you an example of lighter if I can find it here. Okay. So if you take a lighter, just put the hand on the hole and see, and just pushing up, even petrol is inside, you are trying to give some ignition by pushing, but fire still will not be there because oxygen availability you already have blocked, right? So make sure, whenever there is a triangle like oxygen, heat, and fuel meeting together and the chemical reaction created, then of course fire will be there. But if you want to eliminate fire, remove one of the element, either oxygen or heat or fuel, whichever is easier as per the condition or as per the situation you're facing. Remember the words like race for emergency response, like rescue, alarm, contain, and extinguish. You must be familiar how to use fire extinguisher. For this, remember password, the pull the pin, aim the extinguisher, squeeze the handle and sweep. But make sure you remember the wind direction also, because wind direction is also critical to see. And also, there must be like a proper tag on the fire extinguisher that is proper filled, verified, checked, inspected, and it's okay to use. And still there, you will see one gauge, if the needle is in the green zone, that means we can use this fire extinguisher. It's okay to use. But if it is in red zone, that means uh, either the liquid or powder inside is finished. Especially we use plenty of multi-purpose fire extinguishers now, and mostly they have gauge. So make sure you see the gauge before even use. And yes, the distance from the fire and where you are standing, your standing position, or the distance between your standing position and the fire must be the safest one. Don't be so close. Now, remember, we can't fight with fire until we understand the classes of fire, and there are 5 classes, like class A, the fire which is relevant to combustible materials like paper, wood, and cloth are the examples. For class B, we have fire involving flammable or combustible liquids like flammable gases, petroleum gases, and similar materials. We have class C, like fire involving energized electrical equipment such as computer or electric oven fire. These may be caused by short-circuiting machinery or overloaded electrical cables. Class D, fire involving combustible metals such as lithium, magnesium, potassium, sodium or titanium, or even zirconium. So class K is all about fire involving cooking oil and fats. Oh, now, which fire extinguisher we need to use for which type of fire is already given there. For water, we can use for class A. AFF form we can not use for all 5 classes, but carbon monoxide we can use for class B and even electrical fire. ABC powder, which is more commonly being used, so we can use for class A, B, C, even at some level for electrical appliances, and specialist powder we can use for metal fire, and wet chemical we can use for class A and even for F. Since I have given you this presentation, so whenever you get time, you can just reread or try to keep learning and keep your learning momentum at a higher level all the time. It's not like just the OSHA training you attended with me and that's all the no, it's a starting journey actually. So your learning must be a continual process. This must be a daily process. It must be like every second you must be learning something new about safety, health, environment, and plenty of other things technically which are important. Now, for fire protection, remember the hot work permit above 0% earlier, no hot work. Fire watcher is important. Whenever there is a hot work, fire equipment is critical, like fire extinguisher or fire hydrant or fire hoses or even sprinkler system or whatever. Training and development is critical, important. Emergency response plan like ERP must be there. We need required PPs and other types of permits could also be. These are some of the examples of fire safety system and firefighting equipment. There are different types of fire safety systems, but important elements are fire detector, fire alarm system must be there, breaking glass like manual call point, main sub-alarm panel can also be used. Exit staircase is important. Fire door, corridor, lobby, staircase, escape route through evacuation map must be uh, easily understood by all the employees, and there must be some practice drilling. So fire safety system and firefighting equipment, the types of firefighting equipment, again, you can see some pictures and see the names like fire extinguisher, fire hydrant, fire sprinkler, water spray, water monitor, sand bucket, hose, wheel, and fire blanket. Yes, there must be a fire safety team or a kind of a committee. You can include the security staff or the telephone operator, the firefighting team, There must be some team leaders, and of course, under the team leaders, some fire wardens and fire watchers must be there. So don't mix up that you are the firefighter, you are the fire warden, and you are the fire watcher as well. So differentiate and have some, like for fire watchers, whenever there is a hot work, we need the fire watcher. But fire wardens mostly we required for evacuation drills and making sure, they help people to go to the muster point and getting out of the danger zone, especially the visitors, and they are the helping, and they always helping to see if there is any chance of fire, so they can report back to the fire team leader. So fire wardens are the great helpers for the evacuations, safe evacuation. Now you can get involved to the employees, contractors, and the visitors. Of course, they must be familiar how they can be, supportive to the fire prevention or fire evacuation drills. Yes, we required hard work, like project title is, we can, you just can create a project in your mind, how the CSC confined space entry plan will be working if you have a project in a confined space, how the hazard recognizer will be identifying the hazards, and what controls are important as per OSHA, as per Saudi Aramco, as per Royal Commission or Sadara or SABIC or whatever their procedures are saying. You can just follow accordingly, or you can benchmark some global standards. Our quality assurance team must also be there to see either the welding is being done with better quality, or there is any chance of quality issues. Supper time is all about compressed gas. I call it is a bomb. So if you don't manage properly, of course, it will be so much dangerous. So compressed air receivers shall be so installed that all drains, handholds, and manholes easily accessible. Drain pipe and wall installed at lowest point. And make sure we have air should be, equipped with pressure gauge and safety valve. Safety valve shall be tested frequently and at, regular intervals. Flashback arrestor video you can see through YouTube and see how flashback arrestor is helping to avoid any kind of sudden blast of any compressed gas cylinders. For material handling, it's a supper time, but make sure you have mechanical equipment which can be sufficiently safe, and clearance shall be allowed. Loading docks and aisles and doorways. So that means we need a proper shop floor management and proper shop floor layout. A proper place for everything, even for internal transportation, and make sure all our doors and the loading docks that they are designed in a way that there shouldn't be any mishap possibility. No. For secure storage, there shall not create a hazard like bags, containers, bundles, etc. stored in tires. Shall be stacked, blocked, interlocked, and limited in height so that they are stable and secure. And again, sliding and collapsing also. So it's a game of proper set and order, standardization. Now, for better material handling, housekeeping is critical. So make sure the housekeeping shall be kept free from accumulation of materials that constitute hazards from tripping, fire, explosion, or pest harbourage. Yes, we can use power industry trucks, especially the forklifts. You can see some forklift videos through YouTube, or go back again to the OSHA videos. You will find some forklift incidents and how things can go wrong. And again, I would mention the best way to learn from the mistakes of others. If you can't learn from your own mistakes. Make sure there is proper, well-trained and authorized operators. I mean, if you are even a supervisor, but you are not authorized forklift operator, you're not trained, you don't have any certification, you're not authorized to operate forklift. Even you know how to operate, but still you're not authorized because you don't have any evidence or ID that you are a trained guy as a forklift operator. Yes, always keep watching, and there must be third-party inspections of your heavy equipments and your rigging and lifting equipments, like especially the slings even. The slings, any slings damaged or defective shall not be used, even must be removed. So you can watch again, some rigging and lifting videos from YouTube, or even go to OSHA website and see what mistakes people are doing still. And still the accidents are happening because of this. Sometimes the center of gravity is not good. Sometimes the slings or the shackle, or, the rigger is not good enough. So that's why it is important to understand. Okay, so in material handling, see the pictures, one picture is more louder than 1,000 words even. So any damage, any kind of slings or anything, like even ladder is there, even forklift is there, or any material you believe is not in good condition, or any equipment you believe is defective, don't use it or remove it from the work site until it is newly purchased or maintenance is done perfect, because safety have no excuse, right? Now, subpart O is all about machinery and guards. So without guard, basically any moving part shouldn't be there, without a guard actually. Like you have a machine and there are flywheels, there are some, rotating belts, or, some moving parts are there. So make sure they all are well guarded actually, because without guarding, these moving parts are always could be dangerous. That's why OSHA says, make sure the guard are well fixed to the machine where possible and secured. Elsewhere, if not any reason, attachment to the machine is not possible. So see on the right side some pictures. So there must be guard. Like you are using a grinder, so don't use it without a guard, right? Even in one of my projects in Michigan State, USA, we purchased some machines how to manufacture these plastic cups, and we just the challenge was there shouldn't be any hand injury or any kind of injury at all. So we think about intentional or unintentional human errors as well, and we sensorize the area, we sensorize even the guards. And there were safety devices or some kind of switches we attach. So immediately, if machine is running and somebody even touching to the guard, machine will stop. So no chance of incident. Even the area was sensorized. When machines is running within those particular areas, nobody can enter. If somebody intentionally or unintentionally going into that area, of course the machine should stop. In the same way, we guarded the upper side of the machine as well. The reason is somebody maybe can attempt suicide. So we think 360-degree, and we put all the solutions and safety features within the machine, not waiting for the machine to come in Saudi Arabia. We went to USA to make sure no safety feature is missed actually within this, rather than the machine is in Saudi Arabia, and now we are doing risk assessment and finding a lot of safety features are missing, and then we started fabricating and resolving the issues. And otherwise we go back to the supplier again to US and send, oh, we need these parts, and then it's additional cost. And then they're going to say our engineer will come to Saudi Arabia, now accommodation and air ticket and plenty of per hour dollars you need to pay, right? So the best strategy is, if you are buying a $30 million machine, or so better to invest some Saudi Real and send someone technically sound to the supplier, either in Europe or Germany, or in USA, or even UK, or even in Korea or China, wherever they are. Just make sure someone is available there while they are manufacturing or while they are assembling your machine, and even have a run test at the spot at the supplier side, rather than bringing your machine and your country and your company, and then you are finding plenty of faults there or missing safety features, right? Then things could be horrible, and you can't use that machine until the safety features are well completed. Otherwise, there would be a big legal issue. Even the customer will not accept any unsafe machine at all. And on the other side, employees also have full authority to say, no, I can't run this machine because the safety features are not there. So I hope you got the, the crux of this knowledge, why machine guarding is important. But like, see an example, like abrasive wheel is there. So abrasive wheels shall be used only on machines provided with safety guard. Yes, any flywheels or pulleys or belt, rope, chain drives within 7 feet of the floor or working surface must be guarded. Same way, there is an example. Let's talk about tools. It's a subpart P, like tools, hand and portable power tools. Employer shall be responsible for the safe condition of the tools, including those furnished of the employees. It's not like only the employer, even the employees, I would say, must be fully responsible how to keep these tools neat and clean and know the way how to use them. If an employee doesn't know how to use a tool, he must be getting some training, right? So I always mention, don't do anything you are not trained for or you are not familiar with better technical info related to any tools and equipment or heavy equipments or dealing with some chemicals or going to work in a confined space or trying to acting a role as a firefighter or fire warden or a first aider. So don't do anything until you are fully trained or certified. Otherwise, it will fire back. So all your tools, make sure, especially related to compressor, used for cleaning. Compressor shall not be used for cleaning purposes, except where reduced to less than 30 psi, and then only with effective chip guarding and PPs must be used. Now, guarding portable power tools, like I mentioned, make sure 2-inch blade or more must have guard whenever there is portable power tools. Don't use any tools. Look at the drills, look at the belt sanders. The guarding is important. All nip points need to be guarded. Make sure you have guarding related to portable abrasive wheels. They must also be guarded. And there are some jacks like the rating sufficient for operation, jack inspection, minimum 6 months as per OSHA. If you're doing a sand blasting or abrasive blasting, make sure the blasting cleaning nozzles shall be equipped with an operating valve, which must be held open manually as well. Now, welding cutting is subpart Q, is welding cutting and brazing. We're gonna use like welding cutting and brazing, fire prevention and protection, like fire hazard, movable hazard shall be moved, guards against heat and spark. Make sure you have proper fire extinguisher and fire watch, and the fire watch must be staying minimum for 30 minutes, even after hot work. And for fall protection, you must have a railing on scaffolding. If you are having some cables, please as to not create hazard. Appropriate PPs are mandatory. Make sure you have good ventilation and coating and the fillers. And most importantly, if you have compressed gas cylinders, they are properly tied up, settling on oxygen, settling pressure not to exceed 15 psi. Make sure only competent person are used to allow to use or handle these oxygen fuel welding equipment. Compressed gas cylinders shall be legibly well marked, actually must be legibly marked for the purpose of identifying the gas content. And make sure you have the storage of cylinder uh, quite technical information, like 20 feet from the highly combustible material. Empty cylinder shall have closed valve caps in place when possible, and make sure the fuel gas storage inside limited to 200 cubic feet. Now, guys, another important area which we really need to discuss is all operating procedures are relevant to such kind of dangerous equipment must be technically correct, and training must be given to the relevant employees and make sure they know how to use these cylinders, what is the purpose of like in the procedures actually, how they're gonna make sure the cylinders, hoses, valve, couplings free from oil and grease. They should not drop cylinders. Valve caps shall not be used to lift cylinders. Cylinders valves closed before moving and after work is done. So these are some of the precautions and safety instructions they need to be followed. Yes, there are some special industries which we can discuss, like see the paper industry, pulp or paperboard are manufactured. So this kind of special industries need to be followed some special standards. So like textile, the requirements of this standard apply to the design, installation, process, operations. So safety you need to incorporate within the design phase as per your industry type even. It's not like you installed all the machines, you constructed the whole building, you hired all employees, you started the operation, and now you are thinking about what kind of safety requirements you need to fulfill. So that's not the case. The best part is during the design phase, you need to see how things can be more beneficial for you, right? And how you will incorporate all safety requirements while you are designing of the building, designing of your machine layout, or your floor layout, whatever. Just make sure you consider proactively all safety requirements, or you need to inbuilt all safety requirements in advance rather than finding the faults and doing risk assessment later on, and nobody can start the operation because a lot of risks are in red zone which required immediate actions. Now, if you have a bakery, like, the requirements of this bakery apply to the design, installation, operation, and maintenance of the machines and equipment used within a bakery. As I told you, as per the industry's type, be more proactive, including laundry and operations. The same standard applies for laundries, and make sure, let me give you an example, like point of operation guards, washing machine, door shall be locked, open for loading and unloading of the machines. The drying tumbler, doors shall be locked open for loading and unloading of the machine. Yes, the same way in the telecommunication, this standard sets for safety and health standards that apply to the work conditions, practices, means, methods, operations, installation, and processes performed at telecommunication centers. It's a challenging job, and at telecommunications field installs, which are located outdoors or in building spaces used for such field installations. So we need to incorporate in the design phase, and each step, each activity, each part of each kind of material need to be evaluated, how we are going to assemble or going to place, and what kind of level of hazards could be there, which required a lot of controls. Yes, for special industries, there are special industries related to electric power generation, transmission, and distribution. So this standard also covers the operation and maintenance of electric power generation, control, and transformation, transmission and distribution lines and equipment. In Saudi Arabia, we see Saudi Electricity Company. And same way, all countries, they have electric power generation systems. So what type of subpart S is all about electrical? Again, the important part is what kind of electrical hazards will be there, and how things could be under control. And the general requirements is required examination, installation, and use of equipment. Electrical equipment shall be free from any recognized hazards. This is the key goal. Okay, the splices, like the conductors, shall be splices are joined with splicing devices suitable for the use, or by brazing, welding, or salting with a fusible metal or alloy. Arcing parts, again, parts of electric equipment which in ordinary operations produce arcs, sparks, flames, or molten metals, shall be enclosed or separated and isolated from all combustible materials. So these are important safety instructions, or kind of operational safety excellence which need to be followed. Yes, marking is important. Everything must be easily traceable, visible, and the electrical equipments clearly need to be understand either UL mark or FM or CE mark. These are the protection marks. Must be like UL is underwriter laboratories, and FM means factory mutual, and CE is also the protective mark. It says European regulations. We need to follow, while we are manufacturing. especially the electrical tools or electrical items. Now, general requirements, identification of disconnecting, legibly marked to indicate its purpose, unless located and arranged, so the purpose is evident. 600 volts, nominal or less, sufficient access and working space is important to understand. Training is important. We all know whatever, procedure you have, make sure you train to others, and especially lockout tagout before you start your project or your activity. Make sure electrical power is isolated or properly locked out, and tags are being used. Actually, see an example. You can see how, but make sure only the qualified persons are there, and overhead power lines, de-energized and grounded. Even if you need government permissions, still it's important to do that. Otherwise, these kind of issues would be there. So make sure no jewelry, no housekeeping unless safeguards are provided, and conducting materials may not make contact with energies parts. Remember, only qualified visual person may testing, and visual inspection is important, and test instruments shall be within their ratings, and in other means they must be calibrated. Yes, we need proper PPs like rubber gloves. We can put some signage, tags, barricades, and attendants, that would be helping. Now, the sub-party is all about commercial driving, because every company, they're buying some materials, they have purchasers, they have, their staff, vehicles are there. So whenever there is a commercial driving, of course, many people are dying at the road because of road accidents. So we truly need to deliver some defensive driving trainings, or having some, safe driving procedures well implemented within our companies. You can see some videos on YouTube, or have some videos from OSHA as well. Now, the subpart Z is all about toxic or hazardous materials, or toxic hazardous, kind of materials. So make sure you have access to employee exposure and medical records. Make sure you have proper preservations of record, like medical, as per OSHA, the medical records duration of employment plus 30 years. So if you get a question in the exam, like for how many years, this medical record must be retained as per OSHA, so remember 30 years. Yes, there are a reference like 1910.1020 related to this OSHA. But trust me, intentionally I removed the reference from the presentation, because I want you guys to find out this reference through OSHA website, or go to Google you. So you need to find the right reference. If we talk about medical records or access to the employee exposure related to toxic and hazardous, make sure you are able to find out the right reference. Same like 1910.1020 is all about related to access to employee exposure and medical records. Exposure records maintained for 30 years. Access to records shall be provided in 15 working days. So guys, that is why I'm going to share this video with all of you. Whenever you get time, just go ahead and refresh your knowledge, and even you can use for others, because sharing is caring. So follow the same pattern. And for subpart Z is also part of toxic and hazardous like bloodborne pathogens. Make sure you have a better control plan. There must be some methods compliance like HIV, research laboratories, production facilities, and even hepatitis B vaccine. Even for COVID-19, we must have the vaccination. Everyone should be vaccinated. So this is how time to time we need to fight back with this kind of biological hazards, like especially the bloodborne pathogens. And communication of hazards to employees is critical, and make sure you have record for everything. Any activity you are performing or any process you are doing within your company, but there is no record, that means you can't prove that you are doing something better for the company. Let me give you an example. You are providing, a chemical to a certain department, but what is the chemical name? Either you provided CHB for Saudi Aramco, or you provided MSDS, material safety data sheet, or SDS, safety data sheet, or in other words, we have TDS, like technical data sheet. So if these documents you didn't provide, that means it's a It's a horrible scenario that you didn't provide the right information. So people are not familiar how to tackle this, how to handle this chemical, what can go wrong if this chemical touch to their eyes or even to their hands, how they're going to manage if there is a fire incident because of this chemical, what type of fire extinguisher they need to use, and what particular PPs they need to use for handling this particular chemical. So knowledge must be shared effectively, and not only shared, make sure it is well understood by the employees. Then it could be beneficial. Otherwise, no benefit. Okay, so make sure you have proper compliance, like universal precautions are being followed, engineering and work practices are being followed, and even PPs and housekeeping, like I mentioned. Make sure the vaccination is there, not only for hepatitis B, even for other, viruses like COVID-19, and plenty of other vaccines are available now. Made available within 10 working days. That's important, and no cost to the employee. So make sure there is a letter of declination on file for all employees that reject vaccination. So bloodborne pathogens, you need proper labels. Make sure this label is well used. Wherever you want to communicate, or this area, this chemical, this waste could have some HIV or some any HIV facilities you have, make sure this, fluorescent orange, red signage is well placed there, so people would be fully familiar. And remember, guys, this communication of hazards to employees must be done annually as per OSHA. Bloodborne pathogen standard must be there. You must have to have an exposure plan, control plan. So recognizing potential exposure, basis for PP selection, hepatitis B vaccination, emergency actions, exposure incident, and post-exposure evaluation is also critical. As I mentioned earlier, the record must be kept for 30 years. Training record maintained for minimum 3 years. So you need to remember that. Yes, HAZCOM is critical. There must be some standard or procedure how you labelize, how you're gonna store, destack, stack, you properly handle, and what could be the proper warning you need to use on certain chemicals. So there must be, the chemical itself must be speaking to us how dangerous it is. And if it is, let me give an example. You have thinner, but in water bottle, and the label is water. So, somebody can definitely drink it if because the label is showing it's water, not the thinner, right? So wrong labeling should also be avoided. And make sure you have chemical manufacturers and importers to evaluate chemicals produced in their workplaces or imported by them to determine if they are hazardous. So all the hazardous chemicals must have a material safety data sheet, or TDS, or SGS, in other words, safety data sheet. So we can be more familiar or easily familiar either how much this chemical is dangerous. Yes, color coding can also be used, and you can go back and see how many chemicals you have at your site and how they are labelized, how the area is defined, and how you are handling, what kind of procedures are there, and where you have kept this MSDS, either near to the chemicals or in your office. You need to see. And make sure you have a list of hazardous chemicals as well. And but for hazard communication, 1910.1200 belong to that one, but still I would mention earlier, already mentioned, you need to be able to find out this reference. But few slides still left, I couldn't remove it. But make sure you understand proper safety data sheet, physical and chemical practices, health hazards are there, primary routes of entry like PL, permissible exposure limit, national toxicology listing and precautions for safe handling and use, applicable control measures, well written there, date of preparation of MSCS, and name, address, and telephone of manufacturer. So this STS safety data sheet must be provided by the manufacturer to the customer. Either we are the customer, or we are the manufacturer. We need to supply, we need to deliver, we need to provide these MSCS to our customers. And if we are customers, we need to make sure we get these all technical information. If we are unable to get from the manufacturer or the supplier, we can find out from the internet, from Google or from other relevant websites. Okay, so make sure there is proper HAZCOM training to the employees, especially if your company have certain hazardous chemicals. Make sure you have proper separate 1-day training for hazard communication or HAZCOM. See the labels, it will help you to understand what I'm talking about. If it is flammable, make sure you know the proper label is there and each number is also talking to us. If there would be like 4, that means extremely flammable. Now we have 3, highly flammable. And if we have 2 on any chemical, that means, is flammable, but not so much danger. Then if we see 1 or 0, so accordingly we can imagine, oh, 0 flammability or no flammability. So make sure you have chemical hygiene plan, SOPs are there, control measures, training, prior approval operations, and designated persons are there. So usually these things you guys are following already within your company. Just go back and see how you are managing your chemicals. Because I truly want my trainees to be practically sound, because theory, information, knowledge, you can find out from anywhere. Now internet is everything, right? But the real crux, the real chow of knowledge is the practical knowledge, like how you are practically managing. Like you learned something and now you implement it as well, and now you maintained it also, because maintainability and sustainability after implementation of any procedure is one of the biggest challenges. So just, it's not like only to get the knowledge. Make sure you go back and see how your company is following this knowledge or how they implement it. If they didn't implement, you have a chance to improve, and you can be a role model and tell the management you can improve their company in a drastic way, because you are knowledgeable and practically sound person, inshallah. And make sure guys, there must be, as per OSHA, there must be proper employee information and training. OSHA standard must be there, hygiene plan, PLs like permissible exposure limits, and SGS locations like safety data sheet location is also critical. And if you talk about hazardous chemicals and laboratories, 1910.14.15 is relevant to that. Make sure you have methods of detection, physical health hazard, details of chemical hygiene plan is there. So that is, more importantly, all A to Z subparts we discussed. And now, just in easy note, I will say you need to be attached in with OSHA websites. Whenever you get time, go to that website and see any new OSHA regulations there, any amendment is there, okay, or any new video against certain incidents. You can watch that video and find out what lessons they have learned, and similar lessons you can also learn, right? So this is how you can keep your knowledge upgraded. Let me just share again, some of the important documents related to OSHA, which will be helping you up. Okay, so as I told you earlier, you must be capable to find out the reference of every sort of things you are, managing within your company. It can be a forklift, it can be crane, it can be a process like excavation, it can be working a height, it can be scaffolding, it can be like painting and coating or any particular process. So you can go back and find out the reference, which reference belong to. Even for the ladders, it can be fixed ladder, wooden ladders, or even scaffolding. We have different type of scaffoldings, even confined spaces, even particular H2S. So whatever, wherever you see some, you are facing some knowledge issues, so go back and find out the reference and study what OSHA is recommending, or what OSHA standards is saying, how to tackle this particular uh, terrible area, like if H2S, how to manage, what is H2S, what are the terrible, consequences could be there. and how you're going to control it. And if you are going to work in a confined space, what are the steps you need to follow? So what I mean is you find the area and you go back to OSHA and get your knowledge refreshed. And as a safety professional, remember my words, you need to talk within the circle of legal requirements, within the circle of global standards like OSHA regulations, API, American Petroleum Institute, WHO, World Health Organizations, or local legal regulations. Otherwise, the customer requirements, because sometimes, like if Saudi Aramco is your customer, so you can refer to your management, oh, as per Saudi Aramco standard clause, this, or as per Saudi Aramco procedure number this, we are bound to follow this. As per OSHA reference 1910.1 or 1910.2 or 3 or something like that, you are bound to follow these safety precautions or kind of controls you need to implement, or kind of procedure you need to follow, right? So this link I will share through WhatsApp also. But see this regulation standard 29 CFR, which we covered during our training of OSHA 30 hours. Now this is subpart A, is all about general definitions and all. Subpart B is adoption and extension of established, scope, and like construction was shipyard, employment, like, so you can find out. Subpart E is reserved, subpart D is working and working services, which we discussed. So the real training starts from subpart D. But above than that, of course, it will give you some idea, what kind of changes are there in federal standards. Or so working and working services. In working and working services, standards relevant to ladders, we have 1910.23, we have general requirements, we have stairways, we have dock boards. Same way, sorry, we have scaffoldings and rope distance systems. So same way we have subpart E, exit routes and emergency planning, subpart F, powered platforms. So we all covered subpart T of occupational health and environmental control. We have subpart H like hazardous material. We have next subpart F will be there, like J, or same way, you need to find out the general controls. We have subpart K, medical first aid. We have subpart L, fire prevention. We have M like compressed air. We have N, materials handling and storage. Okay, so we have O like machinery and machine guarding. We have P like hand and portable power tools or special industries. So we covered even S like electrical. We have T like commercial driving. So emergency temporary standard for subpart U even is there. So what I mean is you just go back and find out, and whenever you get time, just start reading and keep learning, keep learning. The more you're gonna learn, the more better safety professional you will be on site. Okay, but remember, you can't memorize everything, but you must be familiar how to find out the relevant reference. And because as I told you, we can't suggest to the management anything beyond standards, beyond customer requirements, or beyond our practical good experience. Like Saudi Aramco, let's take an example. They have 81 years experience. So plenty of things they will suggest through their procedures. Oh, these are the steps you need to follow as a safety professional. These are the steps you need to follow as a painter or as a welder, or as so. That is why Saudi Aramco have standard for everything, procedure for everything, like SOP, standard operating procedure. You talk about excavation, they have procedure. You talk about welding, they have procedure. You talk about abrasive blasting, painting, coating, whatever. You just name the area. So there are standards. You talk about some inspection or testing, they have standards. You talk about supply selection, they have standards, right? You talk about auditing, they have standards. So I hope you got the point. So you must be capable to find out the reference from this OSHA website and keep learning. Just click and you will find the whole standard and start studying, because in the presentation, I just, there was just summarized words or kind of the key words or important words in terms of presentation, but the real in-depth knowledge or detailed study, the journey starts now after this training. So good luck for the exam. Thank you very much for your kind trust to join our training sessions, and for our upcoming training session related to NIBOSH, IGC or NEBOSH PSM, process safety management, or even for IOSH or HABC, different kind of food safety trainings, feel free to contact us. We have plenty of other trainings as well related to soft skills like emotional intelligence, decision making, effective safety leadership, and plenty of other trainings are there. We can customize as per your company requirement as well. So feel free to contact us. You can note down my WhatsApp number, 966 59 890-3439. You can note down my you know email ID as well, ishtiaq.rana@advancedtraining.co or ishtiaq.rana at best-intl.org. So good luck. Thank you very much. And I hope you all will be successful, inshallah. Bye-bye. Have a great day.